Is the crypto markets bullish or bearish right now? I'll tell you guys exactly how I feel right now, and I'm feeling very bullish about this market. But there is still a mixture of opinions in the news, in the markets. We could just tell by these red candles and green candles, right? But who is actually winning right now and why am I feeling bullish? I will point you guys to what I'm seeing on the charts so I can tell you what I'm basing my opinions on, and it's not an empty opinion. Okay, it's not just emotions. Now, we're also going to be talking about some altcoins later in this video. That's going to be the fun part, usually after the 10-minute mark. If you guys are here for the altcoins, you guys could skip ahead, but I highly don't recommend it because if you guys are trading altcoins and if you guys are new to this market, you guys probably don't know that Bitcoin is still the driver of this market. Even though, yes, Bitcoin dominance is rolling over, but Bitcoin dumps will still have an effect on the altcoins. Even though some of these smaller pullbacks, not as much anymore as we have seen in consolidation mode that we have actually just gotten out of 2 weeks ago. Okay, so let's go. Let me talk about some of the altcoins we're gonna be talking about later. It's gonna be Solidus AI Tech. One of my viewers brought that up in my comment section. I looked it up. I looked up the coin, and I'm like, this is actually pretty interesting. I have been very much into AI lately, not just coins, but the tools as well. I find it to be very interesting. I've started using Grok a lot more. If you guys have not used Grok, you guys should probably look into it for learning technical analysis. It definitely beats a Google search. That is the AI chatbot in Twitter. We're also going to be taking a look into AI tech. We're going to be taking a look into Pundi X. We're also going to be taking a look into Ordi, ORDI, this token. See what's happening in some of these altcoins. What are their setups? Are they set up to move and search? Let's get into it, okay? We're going to take a look into some news first before diving into the charts, okay? So, first piece of news here. This is by Today Q News. JP Morgan to offer Bitcoin, Ethereum loans by 2026. Financial Times. I mean, this is definitely bullish for the crypto markets. Even JP Morgan is getting into it. I remember I've started trading back in 2019, and this was a far-fetched idea back then, okay, that JP Morgan would actually be getting into crypto, okay, if you guys know what I'm talking about. If you guys actually have been here for that long, please do comment in the comment section below. Let me know, let everyone know, what's going on, what you think about the markets right now and how it's different from what it was before. All right, next piece here is by Cointelegraph. New Bitcoin analysis says most explosive phase to 140K is close. I very, very much agree with this. I will show you guys why on the Bitcoin charts. It's going to be the same. It's going to be a continuation of what I said yesterday, okay? But it's playing out pretty slowly, okay? Next piece is by Crypto Potato. Bitcoin price analysis. Key factors point to a Bitcoin correction. Oh, ahead. So without getting too much into the news, what this piece of news is saying here, I'm just gonna react to the headline. Um, I'm gonna be critical, okay, because when you say a correction, you really have to talk about a time frame and the magnitude of the correction. Otherwise, it's just too generalized for me to even read into the piece of news here, because I know what it's. I mean, I'm pretty confident about what I'm seeing on the charts, but that's just me. Not that because I'm gonna be right like most of the time even. Yeah, I would say that I'm right. I'm pretty accurate on the charts and about what I'm seeing. And if I'm wrong, I would know what to do. And if I'm right, I would know what to do. So it's not about being right more, it's not being right about things about 100% of the time, or even 70% of the time. Okay, it's about having a plan of action. Okay, if I'm right, this is what happens. If I'm wrong, this is what happens, and I will have a plan for either scenario or a variety of scenarios, right? But when I read headlines like this, key factors, it's got to be more specific in terms of time frame and magnitude of correction. So I'm not really interested into reading more just because the headline is not specific enough. Okay, but I mean, this sounds like a bearish headline, and that's fine. I mean, I know that there's going to be bearish and bullish opinions in the markets. I'm really just going to stick to my opinion after doing my own homework. Okay. But if you guys are interested in reading this piece of news, it's gonna be I pulled it from TradingView. Okay. If you guys are bearish in this market, you guys can share why as well. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. All right. Next piece of news here is by News BTC. Ethereum feeling the fire. Crypto inflows hit over $4 billion in a week. That definitely sounds bullish, especially for Ethereum. Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to catch Ethereum. After I exited my previous position back in, I think, just close to 3,400. It just looked way too, I mean, overextended in my opinion on the daily time frame, but it's just not pulling back. So that's fine. I'm looking into other altcoins to trade. And if I see a good opportunity in Ethereum, I would be buying some. Okay. All right, next piece of news here is by Cointelegraph. Bitcoin seller exhaustion likely as traders eyes 115K Bitcoin price dip. Um, that sounds kind of contradictory. Seller exhaustion likely. Okay, so I think what this analyst is probably saying is that sellers, it's probably going to reverse at 115K. I'm not sure if we're even going to dip down that much anymore after looking at just the chart here. I'll show you guys why. Okay, so I am long on Bitcoin and quite a bit of the altcoins across the board. I like diversifying my positions in case shit happens, like delistings, especially for some of these altcoins. I've seen quite a few of those in the past year. And, I don't really dig into the fundamentals of the smaller altcoins, just to be honest with you, because I'm a trader, right? I can read the charts a lot better than I can dig into fundamentals. And I think during this bull cycle, most altcoins will pump. So I'm not going to try to time any one altcoin in particular. I'd rather just if I see a pump in one of my diversified positions, I'm just going to roll that over into something else that has not pumped. Okay, that's just my strategy and my opinion, not financial advice. You should do your own research. Okay. So this is basically what I'm seeing for Bitcoin. Yesterday I talked about Bitcoin losing its higher low, okay, on the daily time frame, which is not good if you lose a higher low on a particular time frame, because an uptrend on a particular time frame would consist of higher highs and higher lows. So I talked about yesterday that I'm going to be zooming out into the 3-day time frame where we still have a higher low. And how do I gauge the probability of that higher low being the actual higher low, if you know what I mean? I looked into the 6-hour time frame in this specific case, right? And I talked about a falling wedge pattern, which usually breaks to the upside. So this falling wedge pattern on the 6-hour time frame for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is still the driver of this crypto markets. That's why I should be paying attention to it. Um, if it breaks out of this falling wedge pattern, which it basically did, okay, and retested it, okay, and price target here is going to be about 121,000, okay. Um, so this basically tells me that this is likely the higher low. Of course, it's not 100%, right? Nothing in this market is 100%, but This tells me it's likely a higher low because falling wedges tend to break to the upside, and we have a price target here of about 121,000. Of course, price targets are estimates only. There could be more, there could be less. Very much depends on what kind of market we're in, but I think we're very much in a very bullish market right now because Bitcoin has actually just broken through its all-time highs at 110K. And let's zoom out a little bit onto the weekly time frame. We've been in this consolidation pattern since January this year. Okay, finally broke out 2 weeks ago. Price target for Bitcoin here is going to be about 145K. And why is that good for the altcoins? Is because if Bitcoin has more room to run, so will the altcoins. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Total 3, which is also important right now because since Bitcoin broke out of its all-time highs, the shift would be to altcoins, at least for me, because I like trading altcoins more than I trade Bitcoin. It's just a lot more volatility, but of course it comes with the risk, right? These altcoins can go down crazy, okay? But before the end of this bull cycle, I'm going to be taking profits and I'm going to be doing better than how I did back in 2021. As I'll be taking profits as this bull cycle continues going upwards before the peak. Okay. So let's see here. Total 3, still going towards its price target about 1.17 trillion. This is it broke out of a cup and handle pattern on the daily time frame. Okay, so this is basically what I'm looking at. Let's take a look into AI tech. See what's going on in this market. Okay, AI tech. This is Solidus AI Tech. It is a smaller altcoin. Okay, so if it's a smaller altcoin, it's gonna come with higher volatility from both the upside and the downside. Okay, so weekly time frame, AI tech, falling wedge pattern, probably the most common pattern you guys will see if you guys start charting. Okay, it basically tells you after an extensive downtrend that price action is it's likely to be reversing. Okay, now, the measure move, okay, let's just say if it breaks out by this point, just for example, okay, the measure target for AI tech would be about 23-cent price target, which is still a pretty big target, right? Considering it's below 5 cents right now. It is trying to get above, stay above this weekly 21 SMA, currently about 4 cents, okay? Now, of course, also got to consider the downside risk of falling wedges as well because they could still break down, but I think it's less likely to happen. That's not my opinion, that's a fact, right? Now price targets again are estimates only. It could be more, it could be less. If it actually reaches that price target and if it consolidates, I would chart the consolidation pattern and see if I can get any more clues on it's more likely to go up or it's more likely to pull back. All right, let's move on to the next piece here. Pundi X. What's going on in this market? All right, Pundi X here. Monthly time frame is going to be my focus because it looks like there's going to be a more validated falling wedge here. Okay, on this monthly time frame, quite a bit of divergence, which is another indicator you guys should know. It's a little bit more advanced, in my opinion. I think I learned how to chart patterns first. That was more simple. Reading moving averages, that's also more simple because moving averages above a price action is going to be a resistance. And if it's below the price action, it's going to be supports. You guys should definitely learn about the ideas of supports and resistances as well. Try using Grok, okay? So right here, Pundi X, okay, falling wedge pattern, monthly time frame, price target for this market, for this pattern, okay, if it breaks out to the upside, which it usually does, price target is going to be about $1.10 if it breaks out by this point, right? Now, just because a coin breaks out does not mean that it's gonna 100% go to that price target. I've seen flops, I've seen fake outs, and I've seen dumps that could still happen after the breakout. Okay, so it's very important to know how to chart. I continuously chart my markets throughout the day. Okay, updating my charts and see if my hypothesis is still correct. All right, let's go ahead and go to a smaller time frame for PUNDIX. See what's going on in this market as well. Um, I don't think. Let's see, daily time frame. Okay, daily time frame. So it tried to break out of this falling wedge pattern. So this is a pretty good example. Okay, that a fake out happened, right? Even though the fake out happens, this um, falling wedge is still it's still valid. Okay, so it looks like it could be forming some type of a cup and handle here. Still too early to say. It's not developed, but there is a rounded bottom here, right? If it comes all the way back up to retest 65 cents, then it could form a cup and handle. Okay. If you guys want to continue seeing more of AI Tech, PundiX, make sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe. I will bring you guys an update if enough of you guys want to see it. Right now, it is trying to get above the daily 200 SMA here, the orange line, okay? Very important it reclaims this if it wants to break out of this pattern, okay? It's currently about 35 cents, that orange line there, daily 200 SMA. Next piece here is going to be by with Ordi. Okay, Ordi, USDT, ORDI. See what's going on in this market here. Okay, weekly time frame, falling wedge pattern. Like I've been saying, it's the most common pattern you guys should be paying attention to. Price target, you measure the opening of the pattern. Okay, measure the opening of the pattern, and then you put that on top of an estimated breakout point. Let's just say here, for example, price target would be about $84 for Ordi. That's pretty big, okay? This is not exactly the smallest altcoins there are. It's like ranking 200 to 300. But that is still a pretty big multiplier, right? For a decent, I mean, for a ranking like I think 200 million market cap altcoin, right? So this is basically what I'm seeing for Ordi. It is trying to stay on top of the weekly 21 SMA, currently about $8.50. This is the weekly time frame, so very important to get a solid weekly candle close above that weekly moving average. Last week's weekly candle close not solid enough for me, in my opinion. You guys let me know, right? So this is basically what I'm looking at for some of these smaller altcoin markets and what I think about the overall crypto markets as a whole, at least in the short term. That's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next